What's happening, guys? James Blonde here with MMOHuts.com, and I'm standing here with
S.J. Miller, the Associate Creative Director on DC Universe Online.
Excellent. So we saw a lot of new stuff coming to DC Universe Online. Recently, you just launched the PS4. What are some of the challenges that you had to face, like, prior to launch?
So, well, we had to get it to run on PS4. That was our first biggest challenge. So we had essentially most of our engineers working to get the game running and running well and allowing us to have better textures and stuff on PS4, of course. But something we did on the design and art side is we kind of went through the leveling game again because we knew we were going to get a bunch of new players because we were a launch title, the only MMO and one of the only free-to-play games on there. So we went through the leveling game and we kind of smoothed it out and polished it up a little bit to have a really good new player experience. We're really happy. I mean, we couldn't be happier. Essentially, we're one of the most profitable games on the PS4, free-to-play games, and one of the most popular. And like I said, we were on at launch, so there's only a handful of titles. So people are like, "Oh, what's this? I'm gonna check this out." So it allowed us to get a whole bunch of new people in the game and get a bunch of new feedback and just make our game better.
Awesome. So we've got some new content coming up soon, and one of the first things is a PvP revamp. What is that going to mean for the players?
We're going to try to make PvP as exciting as it was at launch. Players love PvP in our game. We have a huge 22.6%, I believe, was the number Larry told us earlier, play PvP. And that's actually quite a bit higher than most MMOs. And so what we want to do is we end up with these long, grueling matches, because of MMO mechanics. We've got, the tank won't die and the healer won't stop healing, So we're gonna balance the powers, specifically in PvP mode. And Tunso's going to talk about that in his panel about exactly how we're going to do it and the numbers about it. But essentially, it's going to make it more of an action, really quick kind of, superhero-style PvP match with lots of KOs.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to revamp. You said something in the presentation about changing the kill time, correct? Mm-hmm. And explain that just a little bit in case people are not familiar with that.
It's essentially the time to KO. Like, we would have a 15-minute match, and no one got knocked out. It's hard to score that. It's not like, boxing where we have a judge to go, well, you hit him in the gut, kind of thing. So we want to make it quicker. We want to make it more like, a fight between, Superman and Metallo. They just go, bam, he's down, and then get back up and do it again. And give players an opportunity to okay, let's regroup, let's do this, kind of thing.
Awesome. So another big announcement you just recently made was splitting up the DLC content. So you've decided to do that recently. And what is sort of the goal there? That sounds scary to a lot of us. Like, wait a minute, what do we got going on here? What is the whole initiative behind that?
So there's two big things. One is it allows us to keep updating the game with premium content nearly every month. That's kind of one of our goals. And it also allows us flexibility in what we do creatively. Like, before, we would package up a legend character with a DLC, and if it was a magic-based or a meta-based DLC, we'd be like, okay, so it's Lex Luthor, we need a Lex Luthor character of some kind, Dr. Psycho, no, he's not Lex Luthor, kind of thing. Now we can just do the players that either, something we've been wanting to get in the game or one that people in the community have been begging for, like Green Arrow. They want Green Arrow. They want a bow character in PvP Legends, and now we can do that because we don't have to wait until a Green Arrow DLC comes along. We can just go, what, let's do it. Let's do it now, which actually means soon. But, and, if you're a legendary, if you're a member where you pay the monthly fee, it's not going to be any different. You're going to get all of this stuff. You're just going to get it as we release it. And we don't have to rush anything either. Sometimes we would be like, well, we're almost done, but the legend isn't quite done yet, so we'll have to hold the DLC. We don't have to do that now. Now we can release our content when it's done, and then we can finish the legend and release that.
People will be excited to hear that. So speaking of legends, you've got quite a few new ones on the horizon. We've got Green Arrow, like you mentioned. We've got Deathstroke. Yeah. We've got some of the more Lantern Corps characters. Who else do we have on the roster?
There's quite a few. Like you said, Shazam's going to be coming,
nice.
And with him is Black Adam. That's one that I'm really excited about. Gorilla Grodd and Flash. It'll be nice to get the Flash in there because we only have one speedster character, and that's Cheetah. Now we can get the speedster in there, too.
And so another big one is Legends PvE. So that's something extremely new that players have been looking forward to for a long time, and you're finally introducing it fairly soon. Tell us a little bit more about that.
That's going to be really cool. And I think there's a big part of our player base that's been asking for this. And we kind of dabbled with it when we did the iconic solos in previous DLCs where you could play as the Huntress or you could play as Wonder Woman, and they're very story-driven and allowed us to do some backstory. And we're like, gosh, it's really fun playing these Legends characters and these PvE kind of things. And so we're going to try to create a new system, another kind of Legend simulation where we'll pick certain pieces of content, and it'll be almost event-driven where, all right now we're going to open up this map, and you can play these characters. There'll be certain limitations, but everyone will be able to play. If you've got a Legends character, you can get in kind of thing.
That's really cool, and that'll actually help with the splitting up the DLC. It'll have free-to-players more interested in buying the particular Legends that are released as they come out. And we also see a little bit of changes to the character's gear, like maybe a little bit more revealing. Has that been brought on by some of the some of the community's recommendations?
Yeah, they've been like, we have so many bulky shoulder pads and things. Can we get something that shows a little more skin, makes me feel more like a superhero or even kind of sexy on my female character? And we're going to answer that. And we had the perfect opportunity in War of the Light Part 2 when we're going to introduce the Star Sapphires to the war. And so Carol Ferris, essentially the head of the Star Sapphires, is going to be there. And we kind of looked at her costume and we're like, that's pretty sexy and that's really cool. We should do that. And so we're going to do one for female players. It's the first time we've done a raid suit where females get one thing and males get another. And a big reason why is actually because of the brand, the characters. Star Sapphires are almost always women. They don't particularly like men joining their corps. So that's why we wanted to make sure that only female players were able to represent the Star Sapphires.
Oh, that's an interesting element. So another thing that is big to announce is that you are in the process of working on a UI change. Tell us a little bit more about that.
By change, we mean a complete and total overhaul of our UI. We have an entire team dedicated to it right now. Of course, they're still fixing bugs and such, but we've got a really crack team led by the UI team and Jesse Scott Spord on the forums. He's the designer working with them, and they're just essentially they're redoing all the screens. They're redoing the flow. They're trying to make it match more. We tried to guess where people would, look, which screens they would look at the most at launch, but now we know, they really like going to this screen more, so let's make it easier to get there. Or picking a Legends character is kind of tricky. Let's simplify that. Let's make that easier. And it's going to look really, really tight. It's going to improve performance a lot. It's actually one of our biggest performance issues on PS3 is all of the UIs. So we're going to streamline that. It's going to run a lot better. And pretty soon we're actually going to release one piece of the UI, like a sample sheet, and we're going to put it up on our forums and let players give us feedback. They can tell us, well, we like this, but we'd like to see this on that screen too, because we really need to get to that. So we can have a back and forth, and we can help make a really great UI.
Awesome. It sounds good. Well, the game looks great. All the new exciting stuff that's coming is wonderful. I'm excited to hear about the War of the Light Part 2. It's going to bring in the Orange Lantern Corps again. Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah, some of our community was asking about that. That's amazing. All right. Well, that sounds wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm really excited about Munitions.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. All I can say is kaboom.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that. And good luck.